Hi. Hi. I'm gonna do a little intro.
Okay, of course.
Yeah?
Yeah, of course.
And then we're gonna start. Hi. Welcome everyone. Thank you for being here on such a rainy day.
Yeah.
I know that in Dubai when it rains, people just see that as a sign to stay home. I came home last night and there was a letter on my door from management that said like weather alert, stay alert, it's raining, like literally a 5 paragraph essay about how I should be careful from the rain. So
Mm.
maybe
So
people
we are
are
so
taking that
grateful. Yeah.
seriously too. So thanks for being here. Yeah. Seriously, unstable weather conditions. That's what it was. Welcome. My name is Lean. I'm the head of community here at Atelier, and I'm curious, whose first time is it at Atelier? I see some new faces. Yeah, nice. Okay, great. Welcome. So welcome to Creative Morning. There's some of the Creative Mornings team that has so generously been collaborating with us for the last 2 years. I don't even know, 2.5. Oh, I've lost track. Creative Mornings. Yeah, it's 7 in Dubai, and with Atelier around a year and a half. Yeah, something like that. And this is one of my favorite events that we put on here. And I'm not a morning person, so that's saying a lot. So I wanted to just give a little bit of an intro about what Creative Mornings is. Actually, Creative Mornings is one of the biggest global creative communities out there. And as you can see, these are all the cities that Creative Mornings exists in. I think it's 228 cities and 67 countries. I memorized the numbers.
Yeah. You're doing great with that.
Right? And I'm not a morning person, and it's really early. And what's really great and what really excites me is that Atelier has actually been, even though we've only been Creative Morning hosts for a few years here, we've been Creative Mornings Istanbul hosts for the last, I would say, maybe 8 years or so. So this is something that we were really excited to do here as well when we launched 2 years ago. And these are from the website actually, so you can go in and you can watch any previous talk, not just Dubai and Istanbul, but any city in the world. And there's some incredible speakers, just like Eda today, that you can go in and watch past talks. And the way it works is that each month there's a theme that is the same global theme everywhere. So this month's theme is sanctuary, and every chapter interprets that theme in a different way with their speaker. So it also allows you to see that theme in many, many, many different ways. So just quickly, one of the main sponsors of Creative Mornings is MailChimp. I'm sure you've all heard of MailChimp. MailChimp, love and hate MailChimp, but we love it at Atelier. It's a really, really great tool, and we always thank MailChimp for sponsoring Creative Mornings. Um, and I wanted to give a little bit of a background of what Atelier is. We're testing out these new slides, by the way. So
Beautiful.
thank you. I was like, we need action, we need movies, we need. So what is Atelier? So we call ourselves a community-powered design and innovation agency. So what that means is that we are a consultancy, so we take on projects, all kinds of projects around a few different focus areas, which I'll go through in a second, but we're also community powered. And what that means is that in addition to our 60 team members, we also have 200 community members globally, mostly located in Dubai and Istanbul. And with these members, we collaborate on projects, we collaborate on content, we collaborate on events, and the list goes on. And our focus areas, at least for this year, are learning and education, communities and belonging, spaces and environments, and sustainability. And our team has skill sets that range from service designers to architects to visual designers to business designers, and we all come together and kind of work on projects around these themes. Also, our spaces, obviously, this one and in Istanbul, are shared workspaces where our members can work here during the day. This is usually a bunch of desks in the middle, but it transforms for events like this. So our members also get access to our space, to our community, to our opportunities opportunities and collaboration and many, many more. So we're also proud members of a collective called Q, which is a global collective of some of the most inspiring companies, in my opinion, in the creative industry. And so we joined Q about 2.5 years ago, and we collaborate with a lot of companies. That's also a global network. And last, as you're experiencing today, we host monthly in-person and hybrid events in both of our hubs. This is one of many series that we put on, and if you want to hear more, talk to Hadeen because she is the event queen at Atelier. But before I pass it on, if you take any photos today, or if you don't, follow us, tag us. Atelier DXP is obviously the Dubai one. Atelier IO is the general one. That's where you can find out more about future events, about membership, about our work, whatever it is. And yeah, if you're interested in membership, head over to atelier.io/membership. There's an application form there, and one of our team will get back to you and we'll set up a chat and see how we can collaborate together.
What are the benefits if you become a member?
Benefits.
Yeah.
So you get access to space.
Okay.
So you get
Like a co-working space?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is actually a co-working space
Okay.
usually. So it's actually a free membership.
Okay.
And then you can kind of unlock perks as you become more engaged in the community.
Okay.
So you get access to the spaces, you get access to our community, both local and global communities, and lots of opportunities to work on some of the projects that we work on, as well as opportunities to work with one another, with other members. Member-only events and experiences. So this is one of our public events, but we do a lot of member-only events as well, and perks and discounts and all kinds of other things.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm interested.
All right.
Okay.
Without further ado, I'd love to introduce Eda, who is our speaker this month.
Good morning.
Sanctuary. And I will hand it to you, slides.
No,
Oh, okay, great.
I was like,
So we'll put
I don't do slides. Yeah.
put your face behind you.
No, I think the other one. This is really cool. This is like a little,
It's beautiful, right?
Coachella. It matches my shoes. Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Hi. Ah, okay, of course. Okay. I'm quite loud. Maybe check how is it going for the technological devices. Good morning, everybody. First of all, thank you very much for being here, and thank you very much for inviting me. It was such a pleasure when I received the message. I was like, oh, I can talk about this, yes, forever. But at the same time, I'm not a very classical person who would come with a presentation and just talk. So I want to open the space for you to engage and ask anything, any given moment, because I believe when we all run the show together, it's always way more interactive and it's way more interesting. And I like that unknown where we are heading when we are talking. So I'm here because basically I founded SEVA Experience. I don't know if you all know about it. If you don't know about it, it's just a space. It's a holistic well-being space with a cafe and with a shop, very simply. We started in 2014. It was another brand. It started as Life in One because I didn't know branding. I didn't know that it's so important, your logo. I mean, we didn't have an atelier behind us, what to do. Sometimes you have that passion. It burns in your chest. You just drive and you start it and then you learn things on the way. So my journey is learning everything on the way. I don't have a business background. I studied international relations. I'm not sure if it worked, but having in a global city like Dubai, maybe it's working with my, I don't know, one-on-one relationships. I'm not sure. Then I just wanted to start something that I craved. And then I am learning still. I have some, business one-on-one books sometimes, like Business for Dummies. And I bought all of those because I'm like, okay, how are we going to, turn this into sustainable business so that it survives in a city like Dubai, which is quite challenging sometimes, but I think it also helps us to grow very fast and expand. And yes, and I'm here. And I love that people call SEVA Sanctuary. It means so much to me because a couple of days ago, someone asked me if I die and if I had the chance to come back for 5 minutes, what would I do? And the only things which come to me was very community related and they were very spiritual, but it was always with a lot of people doing the same thing all together. Like the moment that I was thinking that was, I was like, oh my God, 200 people chanting in an ashram. Like those moments that you really feel that you really belong. It's also we can easily see that you also feel very whole in that moment, because I believe when we are born, we start to long to belong, and I believe that's the human journey. And then we find these little moments in life that like it's like everything integrates in your life, like somebody plugs you or unplugs you. Depends on how you see life, and then you feel that everything is aligned and integrated. And those moments are the moments that I wanted to create in SEVA for other people, because those are the moments that I was craving. And yesterday also on Instagram, I found this post. It was talking about, everybody's talking about self-love. So when we are maybe suggesting somebody to love themselves a little bit more, maybe we need to think about the topic is not self-love. Maybe the topic is about being belong to a community, because I'm not sure if humans are made, to go through very lonely or alone processes for long. Look, we need a village. Like, there were sayings before saying it takes a village to raise a child. It makes so much sense to me. We are in the big cities, especially, we are kind of in the system. I don't want to call it a rat race. It's a system. In the system that we are running, and we feel we're alone. And then sometimes we feel we need to run even faster, and then we don't find anybody next to us. And I believe it's just isolates us in some norm, puts distance with other. And what I see a lot of times in SEVA also, when people come for yoga classes, meditation classes, or treatments, sometimes we so forget that the other person is a reflection of us. We feel that we might be the only person who has that problem. Then we kind of close ourselves to share the problem. But for me, I think the problems or the situations, I mean, we can always reword and rephrase everything, are the reasons that makes us human, and are the reasons that brings us to a community. And I think everything should be openly discussed. And so yes, I think SEVA and places like SEVA is needed. I think there must be a SEVA in every street till we get to the idea that we are already little communities, even with our neighbors. But we live in cities. Nobody says good morning in an elevator, unfortunately. And then maybe in 200 years' time, you guys don't need these places, because we will understand the power of it, and we will be able to feel we belong wherever we are moving around, and connect when we even come to eye with everybody. That's my little introduction. I didn't know how it was gonna go. So far, does anybody have a question? Like, how should we go from here? How would you like to continue from here? Do you want me to give some information? Is there anything that you want to know more about? Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you very much for being the only voice in the room. um, I believe, we call this entrepreneurship. Um, I believe there are different types of people. I mean, we are all, I think, similar, but at the same time, the way that our minds work are sometimes different. Mine just didn't work in the way that the school wanted it to, or the corporate companies wanted it to. And yes, every mind is trainable, but I had a resistance to train. I was lucky enough to go to very good schools, but finished them as the worst student. I knew that you need the title, but I knew that I just can't do this, So you could have called me the problematic child easily in the school, but I was a good person. I just didn't understand, why are we doing this homework exactly? Like, why do I have to go home and write this exactly? So when you ask a lot of whys, it doesn't work. People don't want you to ask whys. I mean, maybe in this place, yes, because this is a creative space. Whys are making your product or your, everything something. But we know, so I didn't understand, like, why, how, why me? So From there, it was very obvious. I knew that I need to go to a good university, but I had no idea. And people knew, like they were 17 and they knew what they want to become and which age they are going to do this and that. And I was like, is it possible? But I didn't have anybody even to talk about these things because now we are talking about everything very openly. I don't know, spiritual things or self-love, self-development, self-help, treatments, all of these. When I was 17, I'm 39 now. I'm gonna be 40 this year. And when you say that, oh, maybe I get some support, people were like, oh, you're crazy. You're crazy. You need a psychologist. It's a shrink. Like it was very dogmatic. So I was interested in astrology always. People too thought that I was a lunatic, like talking about future. I'm like, it's just astrology, and there are like so many books about it. I mean, at least we can read it. I mean, so I felt very not belong to. Like you're in a group, you have friends, amazing. Everything looks nice. Photos are great, but you're like, like, is this really me? But you don't know where to go. So when the Instagram started, to be honest, Instagram was a great help for me because when I found other humans posting things and writing about themselves or these quotations, the quotations you send to each other, that worked for me. I was like, there are people who feels like me. Like I really feel I don't belong to this group of people, but I love them. But like there is more. Like there are things that I want to talk that I'm not able to hear, things that I want to discuss, and it's just not coming here. And there are things that I want to hear. Also, it doesn't exist here. So then I started to brainwash myself when social media wasn't a mental health problem, So, checking these and reading, I was like, okay, like, how am I going to get out of this? Like, I'm in something apparently, and how am I going to get out of this? And it comes with a lot of pull and push, and a lot of challenge, and a lot of courage. What happens is when you start investing in yourself, I call it an investment because I think it is an investment. I think even buying one book to yourself is an investment. You choose to invest in you, to give that information, to give that knowledge. And that knowledge hopefully turns into a wisdom and you share it with somebody in time. So when you start that, people look at you. Like relationships are like this. You stand with somebody. This can be a mother, father, colleague, anything. And then you start changing. You make one step forward. Everything is different. They see a different side of you. And nobody wants you to change that much. They're like, yeah, but you changed. Yeah, but what are you talking about? So here, when we make that step forward, we question. Okay, wait a minute. This where I'm standing now is even lonelier. Like, maybe I step back. So this move, the first one especially, I believe is the hardest in human life. And this is why people go to treatments. This is what I believe. And yes, we can talk about what treatment, when, but this is it. Because when you make the first one, and if you can insist on the change, because if you can choose you and say, no, I'll continue from here, but doesn't mean I'm leaving you. It's just you look for me from here, or maybe I pull you and we move together. Then the next one is not going to be that hard because now you made that one step. But the first step, a lot of lifetimes, maybe you won't. There are people, they won't make that step in this lifetime. And that's completely fine because that's how the world works. We are all together pushing something. When we think about expanding the consciousness that the universe grows all the time. So we are a unit altogether, even if we are separated and disconnected from each other. We are serving each other on some level. But at the same time, this one definitely plugs you more in to your own. In Kundalini Yoga, they call it Satnam, like to your true identity, to your own truth, to your essence. But it's very hard to choose you because sometimes choosing you may cost a lot of things in life. May cost you your husband, may cost you your job, may cost you, I don't know, your best friend, may cost you your brother. It's possible. And then you start also struggling. It's a struggle. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. This is the truth of life. But if we can laugh to our struggle, then it's a game. So if either we will be able to see this as a game and say, okay, let's see this as a chess game or backgammon. I'm more backgammon person than chess. Chess has too much strategy. Backgammon is like the dice game, change the game kind of thing, So what we do basically is you struggle because you have attachments, you have love, you have relationships, you have a program. Next summer you're going to go on a holiday and then this person is not talking to you, or they think you're changed, and then the conversation comes into the relationship or the friendship or the work, and you're like, okay, from here, where do I go? You basically need to choose yourself again till it becomes a strong muscle, because it is a muscle. It is definitely a muscle. Everything can be built within ourselves. So either we are going to keep choosing ourselves and say, it's fine. Like, it's fine. Let's change our perception. Let's change our perspective. Like, can I stand one step aside and see this relationship and maybe change my language and maybe express myself differently? And yes, there's going to be people who won't accept you changed. And we will leave them behind, or we will leave them in our hearts. I mean, maybe not leaving behind. It's basically you keep loving them, but maybe there's going to be some distance. But then you're going to attract a completely new people. We are going to be, who are going to be basically vibrating from your new place. Because that's basically an upgrade, please.
No, I love it. I'm curious how that led to, in your experience.
For me, yeah, thank you very much for putting me into a direction also, because I can go everywhere. Thank you. So here, this first step, I had to do it because it was very painful. Like the pain increased in a place that, and I have a good smile, I can put the smile anywhere, any moment, and everybody thinks that I'm doing so well. And then nobody ever thought that I may not be happy. Oh, it's Eda. And I have a lot of energy, because it doesn't mean you lose your energy when you are disappointed in life. I still am a morning person. I get up, I put the music, I can move with it, but sometimes you move with dramatic music. And sometimes you're like, oh my God, I'm going to build the world today. So, I mean, that changes a lot. So, the pain increased, the pain of not belong to, and pain of seeing that I really don't fit anybody in my life 100%. I wanted to fit in something. I function with other humans. I love humans. Like, I see myself in literally other humans. When I have a conflict with a person, even if I can't do it in that very moment because we are human, I question. I'm like, okay, I attracted this person. Why? What do we have in common, even if we are hating each other at this very moment? There must be something that we are in the same space, looking at each other's face, or having this conflict. This person is saying something to me. These we all learn on the way. So my pain increased in a place that I didn't have a choice. I felt I don't have a choice than breaking everything. We can call it a cage. In psychology, they call it a cage. But and I didn't know if I was going to break through, because it wasn't maybe true. I mean, but then when you can't breathe out of pain, you feel like, oh my God, like, I mean, this is really not my life. Like, what is this? Pain makes you do things, and I like that. So a lot of psychologists, therapists, they believe that pain is very necessary in healing process. I get that, because that's when I believe my internal healing process started. Okay, am I gonna be alive? Yes. There are people who says this life worth to live. Yes. So how do I get there from where I stand to there? That I can really be joyful and carry my smile without worrying that, oh my God, I just faked it so well. I mean, this is how it started. It's around when I was just before my 30. I can also explain this through astrology a little bit. Like, there are astrological cycles, you believe it or not. If you track back, we all go through that cycle around 27, 20, 29. Every single person goes through a 2.5-year cycle, which is basically astrologically the first time life is challenging you to your core for you to become an adult. Because till that time, we are conditioned, systems, schools, families, and everything. So we are like, okay, I have this job and I am this person. And then that 2.5-year cycle comes and starts asking you questions. Is it really you? Is it really you? So these all happened through my 2.5. Yeah, it's like universe reminding you, you also have a soul. Like, you became a little bit of a robot at the moment. And then let's integrate you back. I mean, it might sound harsh, but I think it's the truth. Then in that moment, I've been through this. And then I literally got out of it when it finished. And I just chose myself. One morning, crying. Oh, I cry. Huh? I cry very well. Before I was crying because it was very dramatic. Now I cry because it's just so easy. I mean, but I do cry like a Japanese cartoon sometimes. The tears go like this. And now I call it, oh, it's resistance release. Let's cry together. By the time I didn't know. Because also when you're crying, when you're very sad, that's a threshold. You're full. And the water in the body, our bodies also is full of all the nature, like we are nature. We have all the elements in our body. All the Asian cultures, like Western, Eastern medicine teaches you that you have these elements in your body. So when their water levels has risen, and if you are not crying regularly, you explode at some point. So, and then that may turn into an anger, and then that anger may turn into rage, and then there's very rigid, very angry people, looking very good in very tight dresses. I also didn't want to become that person, like loses comfortable. And yeah, I cried a lot, nonstop. And then and I basically there was a tap, and at some point it untapped, and I started to do things. People offered me things. I'm gonna listen to your question after a minute. Um, I started to just say yes. I decided, okay, I'm just going to say yes if any help is coming. All these books are telling me universe is here to provide and supporting me. Give me a surprise. And then someone literally called me and said, look, I met this Russian woman. She does incredible Reiki, and I feel you're going through something. Maybe you try. And I stood there and was like, I would have never said yes to that. I said, you know what? I'm just going to say yes. I'm just going to go and meet that Russian woman. And literally, when you start saying yes to your own development, I met incredible people from there onwards. From there onwards, I literally kept meeting incredible people with a lot of tools that anybody can question at any given moment in life. But I said yes, and they worked. I said yes, and they worked. They all worked. Yes, do we believe in it? Do we believe in it? Does science, proof or not? Not sure. Did they work for me? Yes. And then when they start working for me, people start to ask me, okay, what changed? What happened? Why are you feeling this good? Then you're able to help people. Then you're like, okay, why don't you also try this? And let's see if you're going to feel the same. Why don't you also try, start meditating with me in the morning, and let's do the same. And then it turned into a business basically from there. You were going to ask something. Okay. Mm. Mhm. Mm. I cannot tell you that I wanted anything. When you are in that much pain, you just want to feel better. It's not like I want this. Like you're not able to put a target because you're in pain. But uncertainty. Hmm. So okay. What I can tell you is, I think we live in uncertainty at all times. This is what I learned on the way. I realized that everything that we think is already planned, and that you're going to get up tomorrow morning and do blah, blah, blah. And next week you're going to that holiday, and then maybe you're dating that guy. He's going to turn into a boyfriend. All that is uncertain. So I think the whole process is befriending uncertainty. We are planners, huh? Like one side of our brain is fed by the education system, the society, countries. All this system is, feeding one side of the brain. And then we become doers. When you realize that you can die in any given moment, or come close to that, or have someone dying maybe close to, by the way, didn't happen to me. I basically trained myself through a lot of things to have the knowledge that if this is the last day of my life, how am I doing? How am I feeling? Am I feeling great? Because we don't know. And I mean, I was also raised in Turkey, when I was growing up, there were like, I don't know, live bombs and this and that. And I see power in that. So when everybody was going crazy in COVID in Europe because nothing happened when they were growing up, even in that moment, I was like, yeah, we've been through so much. Huh? I mean, the world is going to go through this. And then, yes, some will die, unfortunately, but it's fine. Like world always is a problem. It just was never in front of us. And so I think being raised in a country like Turkey teaches you. Yeah, economy goes up and down, and then this and that, and you learn, okay, there is this challenge. How do we keep family together? How do we keep economy together? How do we keep a country together? So it becomes a muscle already. Life is very uncertain. Nobody can tell us what's going to happen. Like we didn't know that Dubai is going to get this much rain this winter, for example. And it got, and everything stopped. Like we are 3 meters under snow. I mean, these are all uncertainty. When you are leaving your home this morning, you have no idea what's going to happen. We think we know because that gives us a certain confidence. That gives us a certain feeling of it's under my control. It is not. It's a false belief, which helps psychologically to all of us. We feel a bit safe. But what is safety? Safety comes from within. Safety comes from a place of no matter what, I am planted on earth through my feet like a tree and flexible enough in any tornado, whatever comes, I'll go through it. I think this should be the goal of our lives, the target of our life. How can I go through anything at any given moment without breaking? Because life is not going to get easier. It's never getting easier. And look at the last years of the world. I don't believe the next 3 years is easier. Maybe there's no sickness, but so many outcomes of one virus, little virus, questionable virus that we all went through. So which showed us, and nothing is in your control. So how can you make yourself feel? How can you invest in yourself in a way that you get up and feel whole? You get up and feel that this today worth to live. Let me put a song that I really like. Let me entertain myself. Let me have that one bite from that chocolate cake. Because if it's the last day of my life, do I want to die? No sugar. I have a plant-based coffee without sugar, but I call it plant-based, not vegan, because I'm not against anything else. We just want to give this message that, but if we are not dying tomorrow, there's a very little fine line there. It is good to have a healthy body and give a little bit more priority to vegetables and not being addicted to white sugar as all the supermarkets, incredibly colorful brandings want you to. But at the same time, don't be hard on yourself and stress like that. And if you don't want to run in the morning, like when I see fitness people, I admire that. I never had that much ambition in my whole life. I'm like, dude, how did you run 25 kilometers this morning? Where are you running away from? But I cannot say that, So I'm like, okay, you do your thing. But also let's remember, I think being calm and feeling in your body completely, because we disconnect from our body. We invest in this. We read, we learn. Because someone told, if you know more, if you are the person who talks in the room, you are the one. Like you're going to make it. Be clever, be successful. What is success? I think success is if you're able to chill in that chair. I think that's success in life. You're not able to chill. Everybody's stressed. When you go to doctor for any sickness now, the first sentence is stress. And then the other, and then the other, and then I don't know, Don, it take plants, it has caffeine. I don't know. So I think being chill, like being able to calm down and feel in your body 100% is a success at the moment in life. Did I answer?
Yeah, I think in the end, I got from what you said that it's okay to be not in control.
Oh,
Which freaks me out.
I think, yes, exactly. So I think befriending the natural flow of life. Because when you want to control, when you plan, you're not allowing. Like allow can only happen when you really allow and give that space for the natural flow of life so that life brings you a bit. Like instead of free running and trying to achieve, being in a place that, okay, surprise me life, you bring me. When people say, this is a good example, everybody looks for a relationship, there are so many apps. And then you meet somebody, and then they are like, oh, so how did this happen? Oh, I wasn't expecting it. It came in the time that I didn't know. That's life. Because there is a moment that you just allowed. You gave up the fight. You turn your focus onto something else. And you just allowed something in that space, and life brought you. Because in Buddhism, they teach you with that thing, I don't know, it's English. You know that thing that you hold and it goes from one side to another? Pendulum. Yes, apparently I knew that word. So when you pull a pendulum, and when you leave it, it goes to the other direction very fast. So whatever you pull in life, it's going to push itself back. And whatever you push, it's going to pull itself back. The only way forward is to allow the pendulum to move by itself. This is what I believe in. She raised her hand a little bit before, and I know you'll do it. Hi. Hmm. Yeah. This is a great question because I ask this to myself every day. So you know what happened? I have a funny question. I have a funny story about it. I believe that I function fast. It's just I have a lot of energy. I'm one of those people that I have extra engine, I believe, somewhere. Then I was thinking like, okay, in a short period of time, I can do a lot of things, which is good. Which is good when you are an entrepreneur. If you're able to do a lot of things in a short period of time, if you're multitasking, good, because then you're going to ease some pain because it is painful the first 3 to 5 years. And then somebody called me one day and they said, oh, there's this Russian doctor. She has this frequency machine and I'm very interested in frequencies and frequency machine, light. Now they are doing some brain surgeries in Japan with light and music. They don't even cut the head anymore. So I'm really interested in these things. I was like, oh, wow, okay, a frequency machine, a Russian doctor. And I also, through my experience, I learned that Russians really hold a lot of information in Russian. So when you have access to them, a little bit translated into a language that I'm speaking, which is English and the Turkish, and it's never going to be in Turkish, So I was like, okay, I'm just going to go and meet this Russian doctor. And then we went, and Shadi was with me. Of course, he questioned. Shadi is my business partner, my best friend, my everything. And then he questioned life again, why he met me in that moment. But he came. He's like, okay, I'm just going to support this crazy person again. And then we went to this forgotten flat somewhere in Marina, and then one dark room. It was literally like a little bit of a soap opera. I entered, I paid, and there's this Russian woman. She doesn't speak any word in English. With a device, with a machine. She puts everywhere in your body. I'm like, okay. And then there's a person who's going to translate, and I'm really like, okay, do I want a translator at the moment? Like, because where is this going? Like, how far are we going to go? And then she starts telling me everything about my body, like information. I'm like, how do you know this? Exactly, like everything. By the way, I bought the machine after. That's just the idea, but I was like, I want this machine in my life. So it reads you. It reads about your spine, your system, your blood level. It's very, very detailed. It tells you how many milligrams of vitamin C you need today. Huh? It's going to go. It may make you an addicted person to a healthy lifestyle, but it can help you. I use it to help myself and people around me. So if there are repetitive things, because it also tells you your repetitive thought forms. So when you do this machine regularly for a while, it tells you like this subconscious pattern is running. I think it's really good because you can work on that. I mean, I have a mantra for that. I have a meditation for that. I have a therapy for that. So it's about you choosing to release that, And I was sitting there in my best self. I believe it was a good day. I'm feeling really good. All that. She goes, it's only 20% of your potential. I'm like, what? Me? Are we talking about me? She's like, yeah, this is your 20% of your potential. I was like, are we serious? And I was like, according to what? Compared to what? She's like, okay, not compared to anybody else. But when I look at this, you can definitely do 5 times more than this. And you are blocking yourself because you believe nobody will be able to catch up. And I was like, I paused for a long while. Huh? I was like, and then I didn't know how to integrate this. I just bought the machine. So let me think about it at home. And then I realized in time, when we hear information about ourselves, we really don't know what to do with it. And we start questioning. The mind starts questioning. and wants to either prove it wrong or wants to make us kind of like needing something. It's not able to just take the info and sit with the info. So I started to question it for a while. Is it true? Is it really? Like, compared to what? Who? Like, what am I going to become? Do I become something? Like, what is that? What does that mean? Am I going to have more energy? Am I going to be able to do more? Like, what is that? Then I started to do what I do, like kept doing what I'm doing, but kept reflecting on this. And I realized over 1.5 years of time, it's not like 1.5 months. At the moment, I feel this has been 1.5 years, 2 years probably. At the moment in life, I feel way more integrated than that day, way more fulfilled since that day. Did I do something specific for it? I'm not sure. I kept doing what I'm doing. For example, when I figure out a fear about myself, if I'm scared of this morning coming here, I wasn't, but as an example, I don't sit with that fear. I don't allow that fear to live with me. If this is, they say your body is your temple, your mind is your, car and the engine, everything. So I'm like, okay, I figured out a fear. I have this fear. What do we do with it? How can we untangle it, solve it? How can we turn this, transform this energy? If this is an energy field in my body, which is basically, vibrating in a very low vibration, which is fear. And fear is known to manifest itself. Fear is known to come up with times and places that you are not expected. How can I untangle it? How can I solve it? How can I look at it without being scared of my own fear? Because there's also that. We don't want to look because we're like, what am I going to see? Not a dragon. I mean, come on, it's your own fear. It's your own memory. But we are just so scared to look at it. So I looked at every fear of mine, whatever came in front of me. I mean, not that I'm still here. I didn't ascend. So which means we are humans and there's a lot of still conditioning. But since that day, and then when I reflect with that day now, I know that we don't get our potential with our 3D brain. I don't think we are able to get how much capacity we have when we are thinking about ourselves. I don't believe we get it. Yes, if you are doing like let's say a shamanic experience, people go to the jungle, to ayahuasca and things like that. So which you can call it a drug, half of the world, or the other half of the world believes that it integrates you with your soul, which I'm this half of the world. And in a moment like that, when you realize, from all these Joe Dispenza books, for example, that there are infinite possibilities in any given moment. What do we understand from that? In this moment, in this room, nothing. What is an infinite possibility? What is literally infinite possibility? If I ask you your problem now, and if we ask every single person to say something different to solve that, we won't come up with a fifth idea. But in moments like that, when you are basically completely open and integrated with your soul or whatever you want to say it about ayahuasca, let's say, you're like, oh my God, literally, there are infinite possibilities, but in a human form, we are not able to get it. So what I do is I just do my best not to stand on my own way. So when my mind starts, it's impossible to unwire our minds. We read all those books. We went to all those schools. We watched all that TV. What we can do is you can build a muscle to catch the mind. Oh my God, this is coming. Is this from me? Is this thought form, this conditioning is from me? Is this serving me? Am I going to allow it to come and take over the rest? Or am I going to catch it and say, oh, wait a minute. Like, this is coming from outside and it's not serving me. So let me just stay where I am and just breathe. Why every meditation, every breath work, every problem, every consultation with any therapist starts with sit comfortably and start breathing. It starts with softening the belly. Like when I'm teaching a class, this is the first thing I say, inhale and soften your belly. Because, behold, oh my God, okay, we got stressed. It's here, soften the belly. Because everything sits here, and when you're comfortable, you're able to see how even a thought comes to you, how far you want it. You want to watch it, you want to take it in, sometimes we like a little bit of drama. Sometimes we take it in just to maybe release a cry also. I mean, humans, it's also nice. Then we become telenovelas, I mean, things like that. But I think that's the muscle we need to build. And instead of being in a competition with ourselves, okay, where am I with my potential? Oh my God, how far am I going? This is my best at this very moment. Maybe I stay here. Maybe I go forward. Maybe my forward is backwards for you. Maybe you're gonna look at me and say, "Oh my God, I don't know, she gave up on La La Land. She changed so much." People leave their jobs and move to nature and start farming, and then we make fun of them in the city. They say there's more to life. There is. Maybe that's his expansion. Maybe he needs to be with a donkey this morning, and with a goat and with his own tomatoes. I mean, so we don't know. We just judge from one perspective. I think we just need to try to see from different places. I hope I answered. Yeah. Thank you. Yes. Hmm. Thank you. Mm. Mhm. Hmm. Yeah, and we didn't design this, guys. Huh? They designed it.
Someone like I don't even know who designed it. Oh, Lisa Maltby. We don't. We get it from
Because I saw it and I got so excited to see this. Mhm. 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 Hmm. Mhm. No. Hmm. I question every morning. um, yeah, this is, I think, the part that we need to talk, of course. First of all, I failed every day because when you don't study business administration, when you never worked with an entrepreneur, watching them, I mean, there were people, nobody in my family was corporate. There are pros and cons of it. I was able to listen when I was growing up, how to solve problems in certain places, but I didn't know how they started from scratch. Like that part, I think should be in schools. Like if anybody wants to start something, I tell this to people, find an entrepreneur, go tell them and say, I'll come 2 months for free. Let me at least observe, see the challenge, because it is literally big. It takes over that challenge. And you're like, there were days which took years, not weeks and months, years, that I felt every cell of mine was like alarming and panicking because everything comes at the same time to you. And also, I never lived in Dubai. I really didn't know anything. I literally didn't know how hot it can get. I had an idea of hot, and I was like, I love hot. I was like, no, no, not this hot. And then I was like, I'm sure I can still sit outside. And people were like, what? I was like, oh my God, I'm dying. So, I mean, everything was a little bit of a challenge for me. And I didn't have a support system when I came because I didn't think about it. I just felt this incredible urge that I have to start it. And without that, I don't think anybody can start anything because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But I would love everybody to follow that because otherwise there is not going to be anything colorful, unique, and original in our lives. All those little places are the reason we love cities. All those little streets, cafes, restaurants, art galleries, all those are the soul of every given place. But it is just so hard to start it, to grow it, to run it, to sustain it, and to bring it to a place that you feel a little bit like, oh, I think from here onwards, maybe we stay, and then something else happens. Because, Dubai gets up and says, weekends are Saturday and Sunday now, integrate. Or like, oh, there's a new law now, pay this. And you're like, oh, I didn't know, thank you very much. So, for me, I came to a place, I have a lot of little funny stories. Very briefly, I came to Dubai And with a sign from the universe, not with a plan, I started life in one without a business plan because I really didn't know how to write one. I swear. And people told me, write a business plan. I was like, how can I Google this? Like, I was like, and I just looked and I said, you know what? I'm gonna be able to do this no matter what. But I don't know how I found that courage at that moment. I really don't know. It was really out of this world. And I believe this is what every entrepreneur has in that moment. They just have this very, like they have this courage that nobody knows where it comes from. So without a business plan, I had some certain amount of money. By that time, Turkish lira was more valuable than dirhams, so it worked. Now it would have never happened. So things that worked that year. I had one previous business partner for a little short period of time. He looked like he believed in me and he didn't. That is just another morning talk, and it was very challenging. I didn't think about that I was gonna need a support system. And I came and I was like, oh wow, I need a hug. And there's nobody to hug me. Like, what do we do with this? And I'm really like touchy and I love friends and sharing things and talk. And it was really lonely with a lot of questions, with a lot of information, with a lot of also questions from people walk in and ask. And I was like, yeah, what do I do here exactly? I mean, it was really chaotic for a lot of times. And then I said, okay, you have to make it. And I found this again, determination in me that I didn't know it exists because I wasn't a determined person before. If anybody asked about me to you when I'm 27, 28, 29, nobody would say Eda is disciplined. Nobody would ever say Eda is determined. Nobody would ever say Eda is resilient. I didn't know literally that these three things exist in me. This is why I always believe I don't know what you believe in, God, source, energy. We all talk about the same thing, I believe, whatever the creator is for you. But I believe Seva and me and Shadi, of course, I believe we work with God for God. So we are really supported. And that's literally the effect of that unknown that is really supporting and helping it because it's really not believable that this business existed. It's still, seriously. And then there was this one moment also, I learned a lot of things from all these books that I bought. I had this, board markers that I was literally writing on my walls to brainwash myself, the quotations that I need to remember. Like I was getting up and when I was brushing my teeth, I was like reading things and sleeping on audiobooks. I'm like, okay, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it one way or another. I'm going to make it. And people were asking me very business related questions. I didn't even have the jargon. I was like, what is that? Like, how am I going to learn this? Is it too late? Then I said, okay, the only way that I make this true is to calm down. So I meditated a lot. I meditated everything. Buddhist meditations, guided meditations, meditations with gold raining on you, like manifesting, like whatever you want. I just kept projecting myself making it, but I didn't know how to make it. But I'm like, okay, I'm just going to keep projecting this. Like it's going to happen. And then I learned spiritual things more than business because there were spiritual people more, the place was attracting than a businessman. They were like, listen to this mantra, do this course. I was like, okay, because you're also in a place that you feel there's no other way because this determination came out of me. So it started to feed this. There is no other way for me. I have to make it. And I have this, but I don't know how I'm going, but I have to go. Like it was interesting. And then there was one moment, this is just before the third year. I said, okay, I'm a bit more calmer. And okay, the business is running. We don't have a PR, but people know it, but we still don't have any money. And like we're dying, like breaking. And I see that in a lot of faces when people are entrepreneurs in everywhere in the world. Sometimes, I was recently traveling, you enter an art gallery and I see that she really wants to do it, but it's just so hard to keep it together. And I think that's the saddest thing about this world. I don't think this world knows who to support, which industry to support, I swear. Because those are the reasons you like those streets, those neighborhoods, those little vintage stores. There must be a different system, to support everybody who gives back to communities. Anyway, so there was this one moment I said, I think I can give up now. I said, because I proved myself to myself. Look at me. Oh my God, I'm a grown up now. And okay, I did all of these, but it's obvious. It's really hard in Dubai. It's really expensive. Like, no, it needs more time to make this money to turn itself. Like, what do we do? What do we do? And then I manifested another miracle. So I met one of my clients he said, you know what, you're very stressed. I'm just gonna take you to lunch, like Christmas lunch, and relax. And then we were there, and he believed in the business that I do. He's not an elderly, I don't know what we call it, but he's older than us. He's a businessman. He's very spiritual, but in his world, nobody is spiritual. So we have this friendship that we are able to talk some books and meditations. And he's like, like nobody talks about this in my world. And that's also another sad thing about this world, because I'm sure there's one more person, but they don't open this. They don't open this in a networking event that they meditate, because there's stock market to talk about and the currencies and everything and the new real estate, that they invested. Anyways, that's another problem of the world. Then I told him, I said, you know what? I think it's time for me to close. Like, I don't know how to go forward from here. And I believe I proved myself. Like, I don't wanna give this fight anymore. I don't wanna fight. I really need to relax after a meditation instead of getting up and just running. And then he was like, but how much money you need? Like, how much more you need to just turn this corner? Like, you're on the third year. I'm like, yeah, I know, but I'm not able to manifest this extra 150,000 just coming from the air to me. Like, what am I selling? Gold? Like, how many more meditations, And then he gave that money to me without any written paper. He opened his checkbook. He wrote that. And he said, you know what? This world needs places like SEVA. And when you have that money, you're going to give it to another person. And I don't want anything in return. And I was like literally, I was like, can we have a drink? Because I don't know how to relax in this system at the moment. Also, having a drink sometimes works, huh? Like, I'm not against anything. And yeah, I mean, we are still friends. And then I met Shadi. Um, I needed someone with a business brain. And I was like, okay, listen, I can't have one more of me, but I also don't know how to attract a business mind person. And then literally Shadi in a gift box sent from universe. First, like he thought I was crazy with everything that I say. Let's bury crystals under the soil, and say, I'm sleeping on a mantra, and you sleep on this mantra. Like all these things. And then on the way, either he believed in me or he said it's a good festival, I'll watch. Like one way or another, like carnival. Like we'll learn maybe in the next 20 years at some point. And then so we used that money, and then it helps, of course. And then we also learned to help every single person which comes on our way if they need something, because that's the only way to support people like us. We have each other. No, but I don't believe anybody has my back than my own people. And I believe whoever is having that step to start anything, we on some level on earth have each other's back. That's why I really believe that we need to be helping each other, and doing more things all together. And if it's money or a connection or an event together, that needs to be done. And I think it needs to be an example for a city like Dubai, when I contacted other yoga studios to teach Kundalini yoga, because in the end I'm also a yoga teacher, and I have clients, students, they say, okay, but I drive so far. Would you teach in another place? When I send an email to every yoga studio, nobody replied to me. I was like, wow, just because I have my own studio, I'm like, do you think I'm going to steal somebody? You're like in, I don't know, Silicon Oasis? I'm like, who's going to drive that far anyways? But we have that mentality. It's given to us. I don't believe we are born with that. So we need to remember that it is not us, and hold each other tight and keep building things together. Yes. Amen. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Bless you. Mm. Mm. Couple of things. This is what I suggest to people. When things start changing in your life, you have to find a new community that you belong. For example, people ask me, okay, I just moved to Dubai. I'm like, perfect. Go to a yoga class. Go to something that you do with people that they also have that as a hobby. Go to an art club. I don't know. Find a meetup to talk about whatever your interest is. Because I think coming around the topic is way more important than where did you study? What did you do? Where are you from? It's way more important than my passport, than what we share in that moment. And I believe those little groups can turn into something or not. But for a while, it will support you. And then you will figure out, oh, this worked for me, but this didn't work for me. Let me do this. Don't cling to things which are trying to detach from you, because you are doing all this work for yourself to detach. If you do both at the same time, it won't go anywhere. Then you'll be stuck. Am I going forward? Am I going backwards? Then you're stuck. So you need to constantly remind yourself that this is okay. Change is okay, but change means everything changes. And if you're scared, that's the most important thing. If somebody comes to me and says, I'm not scared of change, I'm like, oh, darling, it's not an illusion. I mean, or like they are delusional. We are all scared. But what do you do when the fear comes? You're scared. What do you do? Oh my God, I'm so scared. I'm going to turn. Or you're like, okay, it's scary. And I knew it. Let me have a glass of, water and relax a bit, or a wine. Yeah, I was just going to say that, to be honest. And maybe slow down, but keep looking where I want to go. And maybe relax a bit and then make a slower step, but keep making the step. And definitely, if you're able to get help, it can be therapist, facilitator, mentor, coach, whatever, perfect. We need that person. We all need that person who shakes you, who reminds you, hey, remember who you are. Or like who says you're playing too small, I'm sorry. And you need that person who talks very hard to you. Not the friend, oh, you're doing amazing all the time. We also need them to celebrate things, because I think celebrations should be also shared. But at the same time, we need that friend, that cousin, whoever, that mentor who says, who are you bullshitting to your face? Who reminds you your path? We need that. And we normally, as humans, we a little hide from that person. We feel like, can I go under the table? Thank you so much. I'm seen too much. And also remember that this is a journey of being seen. How can you make yourself comfortable when you're vulnerable in a group? Or in front of a coach who is probably a completely stranger? How can you really open? Because like this whole Dalai Lama quotes or Buddha's quotes, and I'm not sure if they say these, but this world needs more vulnerable people than more successful, which that is a success. This is, I believe. And especially when you ask this as a man. Yesterday I was watching this, there's this Instagram account called Therapy Jeff. I love the guy. I love the guy. He's a therapist. Apparently he made a couple of movies, so he's so good at making 90 seconds incredible videos on Instagram, and gives bam, 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 the whole information that you're probably going to learn in 15 years of your life. And then he was saying yesterday, okay, dating tips for 2023, be vulnerable, be open. I was like, exactly. And it's not even a dating tip. I think it's being a human tip. It's being a human tip. How can we really connect from the heart? Because we are so connected from here, talking about things where we're going to head. But just how can we just sit and be present? Maybe look at something altogether. How can you meet somebody without knowing and planning what you're going to talk? Just let's chill. Let's be in the presence of our energy bodies. Let's integrate our auras and just look. Is that possible? Because that gives a certain comfort in the body, and I believe that comfort creates you, helps you to allow. And when you allow the natural flow. When you allow the natural flow, surprises come. And surprises can be positive and serving us. So when you're scared of unknown, which is because of your past experiences, because you're like, my heart is broken once, but why can't you expect an incredible surprise from the unknown? Why don't you feel and tell yourself, no, only the best will find me because this is what I deserve. And this is the reason I do this work. And I'm just going to keep projecting myself the most benevolent outcome for myself and others. And I believe literally something starts working with us and for us because life happens for us, not to us. Life is not against us. We are life. It only makes sense when I am breathing. Why would it be against me? Why would it challenge me? It wants me to grow. It wants me to look from a different place. It wants me to move a little bit, you know? It wants me to become this. So I'm so supported with my roots. You know, the biggest network in the world is not the World Wide Web. It's the tree net from wood web, right? So this is the strongest thing because each tree, you see one tree in the middle of the desert here. Some of them has signs that they're protected by government. That guy is already connected to another guy. They know each other. So I believe this is what we need to become. Because when you plant yourself so strong and when you know that you're supported and life is working for you, then you bloom, you thrive. And of course, there's going to be a tornado, but you know that after every winter, there is spring. All these things are said for us to just remember. All the books. Somebody was talking to me about a book yesterday, Good Life or something, and he said it's a bit repetitive, the examples. I'm like, yes, those books are written till you make that click in your mind. More example, more example, more example. It says to you, come on, come on, come on. And then when you click, then you don't need anything. But till we click, we push. What to do? You know, it's a game. So I see it as a game, play a game. Otherwise, you feel, oh my God, what is happening? No, you're part of what's happening. You are happening. You're happening. Ask help. Tell people, be honest. Be brutally honest. Say it to my face. But then also, if I cry, hug me. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a part of the process. Thank you.
I think we all needed that, not just on the Black morning, but on any morning. So we recorded it so you can listen to it again. Push yourself. You are it, but also chill.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Thank you so much for inviting me, and thank you very much for asking questions and listening and smiling sometimes and looking like this sometimes. And I appreciate that a lot.
And
Yeah.
definitely, if you haven't visited SEVA, you have to.
Yeah, come to SEVA. Come to a chanting class.
It's beautiful, and when the weather is nice, you can sit in the garden.
Yes.
And when the weather's not nice, you can sit
Yeah.
in a beautiful little cove, I guess. I don't
Yeah.
even know what to call
I
it.
don't know. What is
It's
it?
beautiful.
It's like a Woombella though.
Yeah, but like really, when I think of the word sanctuary and I think of Dubai, I think SEVA. That's the creation for me.
Thank
So
you.
thank you so much.
Thank you so
And
much.
I
This
just
is so
want to
much.
share with everyone, if you'd like to stick around and work from here, you can all do so with a free day pass. Dave can set you up with that and with the Wi-Fi. You'll see that this will transform into a very different environment in a few minutes. So you're welcome to stay. There's also upstairs. Normally I would invite you outside, but that's probably not a good idea. But thank you again. And
Thank
next
you.
month's theme is touch.
Uh-huh.
So stay tuned for that.
Okay, nice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, thank you so much.
So nice. Thank you, August, so much.